Hey guys, it's Nick from the PLRsite.com, and today I'm going to be talking about this article, which some of you all may have seen. It is, considering it is over 9 years old, it still ranks pretty freaking high in some search results regarding including PLR or private label rights contents. It is a bit astounding that such an old article can still rank that high sometimes. I mean, I can be doing, searching some niche PLR stuff, and I can still see this come up on the first or second page. It's a bit weird, but I thought about going through, reading the article, talking my take on it, since this is my kind of market that I deal with, So let's get started. So the dangers of private label rights content, PLR content, by Jonathan Bailey from plagiarismtoday.com. If you want to look it up, just look up the dangers of PLR, and this is probably going to be the first one it pulls up. Or just plagiarism PLR, it's going to come up, I think, the first one. So private label rights, or PLR content, sometimes referred to as a white label or resale rights content, is a type of content that's commonly sold to internet marketers and webmasters. The idea is that, unlike CC or Creative Commons licensed, or even article marketing sites with PLR content, nearly all the rights in the work are sold, including the rights to attribution, resale, and so forth. Now, just a technical thing. Not really crapping on them. Not really. No. White label. Okay, I guess kind of, but that's really you just slapping your. Private label rights in a way is like white label, but resale rights is something different. Resale rights you can't modify. Same with master resale rights. You can't modify the PLR. You can't modify the content. PLR, you can modify the content, but that's just a splitting hairs stuff. So, in short, depending on the exact license being used, when one buys PLR content, they're free to take the work, modify it, put their name on it, and even sell it, for example, as an ebook. I'd argue by definition, PLR lets you, take the work, modify it, edit it, put your name on it, sell it for 100%. Anything else isn't PLR. But moving on, there are a lot of reasons PLR content is tempting for marketers. It's cheap to purchase, easy to implement, and if done well, visitors are never aware that the content wasn't written by the company or the person itself. Many use it as a filler content for when they can't write material themselves. Well, what does if done well means? Does that mean just they're able to hide that it was somebody else's, or they're able to rework it in such a way that it's not recognizable? Rather, they pretty much make it their own. So it would have been written by the company or the person themselves. Now, if done well, I don't know what that means other than being rewritten, added to, taken away from, edited. So, small point. However, there are many dangers to using PLR content on your site and reasons to shy away from it, especially for resale. Here are just a few of the reasons you should be wary if you're offered PLR content for your site. Again, resale is different from PLR, but that's something different. A resale rights is different from PLR. Although, hey, there are dangers of PLR. I personally have warned against many types of PLR. I have warned against PLR sites that sell, like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 for $2, $5. eBay sells, stuff like that. So I'm not going to sit here and say there's no dangers. And even when you get high quality content, other people are buying it too. So they're going to have similar content if you don't make it your own. If you don't make it unique, then you have content that's probably going to be similar to someone else's. Now, you might not have a problem with it. All right, just know the risk. So, moving on. Plagiarism concerns. Few PLR sites actually create the content they provide. True. Again, I only promote a few. And even then, sometimes they'll buy PLR rights, like I do PLR. We'll buy rights from other people. to the PLR. Now, this is not the case with Piggy Makes Bank. I don't think it's the case for Tools for Motivation either. So moving on, and not PLR.me either. PLR.me, Tools for Motivation, and definitely Piggy Makes Bank, they make their own content, so this isn't even a worry. Instead, they use third parties to either write it or purchase the rights themselves. Again, IDPLR does the latter. Unfortunately, even with the best due diligence and plagiarism detection techniques, there's almost no way to completely vet a work as plagiarism free. Okay, but that applies to almost any work not done by yourself, not verified by yourself. The work could easily be an unlawful derivative that defies easy detection. It could be taken from something not yet online elsewhere, or it could just be that the content is so heavily resold as PLR content that finding the original author is almost impossible. Those are risks. Those are just the risks. I don't think anyone that has... There may be a few people that don't realize that, but I think most people getting PLR realize this is rewritten or this is being sold to multiple people. Hey, it's completely possible that somewhere along the PLR rights, the predecessor line, you're going through the, the errors, the line of progression from PLR transfer that somewhere way up the line, someone didn't get it lawfully. But that's, just a risk. And many people run it. I think many people realize that that's a risk. But that's why I look for sites that are reputable, that create their own stuff, that are careful about where they get it and who they get it from. That's why I only promote, or rather recommend, either way you want to put it. I do promote them. I do recommend them. I only do that with sites that I trust. I don't do it. There's tons of sites. Listen, if I just wanted to focus on pushing the most crap I can, then there are many other sites I could push. Because just look up PLR. There are tons of other sites, PLR sites that have affiliate programs that I have chosen not to promote. There are ones that I have promoted in the past. When I researched them more, I have said, you know what? I'm not promoting this anymore. I'm taking down all references to this site. At first glance, okay, these seem all right. But that was towards the beginning. Now, I pretty much got it hammered out, which sites I promote, which sites I recommend. Because they write their own stuff, or they're very careful, and they're reputable. So, yes, this is a problem this is a problem for some PLR, but that's why you got to be careful. I have been warning against getting bad quality PLR that, this, like I said, these 1 million PLR for $10. It's like, you think that guy seriously got all of that PLR legally? Now, I'm against all intellectual property laws. I am against that. Either it, and in the cases of like someone buying a fake Rolex, that's just fraud. If they don't realize it's a fake Rolex, someone's putting it as a Rolex, that's just fraud. That has nothing to do with IP, that's just fraud. So I have no moral issues when it comes to this stuff. But there are positive, legalistic issues. So you have to be careful. You have to be. Now, however, if the work does turn out to be infringing and it appears on your site with your name, it's pretty obvious who will be the first to get the letter and legal threats. Now, often it's just cease and desist, or they'll send you a letter that says, hey, take this down. They're not going to be like, we're taking you to court for this 300-word article. There's been no cease and desist. We have had no communication with you before. Highly doubt it. Most times, a legal threat is going to be enough to just, it's a simple email, cease and desist stuff. It's going to be like, okay, crap, I need to take that down. And that's that. Now, duplicate content issues. Nearly all sites that trade in PLR content sell the same content to multiple parties. Yeah. If the work is published publicly, Google will sense this and treat most of the versions of the work as duplicate content, penalizing these sites. I think at this point Google doesn't penalize them. I think it's just after they find the most relevant, and then after so many, they don't rank them. I don't think they necessarily penalize them, they just don't rank them, which is a form of penalty, but it's not like a negative mark against your site. Now, that's the way I perceive it, and what I've researched recently, that's how Google does. Go Google it yourself, research it yourself to be sure. If it is outside of Google's scope, such as being included in a member's area or in an ebook, it can still create problems as customers and visitors may spot the other copies of the work. Again, which is why you edit your stuff, edit the PLR you get, make it unique. Now, if you don't, okay, but you know the risk you're running. Maybe there's sites that you just want to throw up like real fast. You're like, okay, I just want to put this content up. I don't want to really edit it. I just want to rank. You're running that risk. There's risk to it. Okay, I'm fine with that. If you're fine with it, all right, see how that goes. It might work. Who knows? Think, for example, how a customer would feel if they bought an ebook from you for $5 only to find the same ebook being sold elsewhere for $1 or being given away for free. At best, they feel ripped off. At worst, they will accuse of being a plagiarist or an infringer. Well, I think we've all bought stuff that we later found out it's been cheaper. And honestly, that's on them for not researching more. Y'all, before you buy something, always research to see if it's out there or there's other alternatives that are free. That's just being a good buyer. But maybe they feel that way. People can be unreasonable at times, so that's another risk you run. Also, why you make your content unique. So to combat this, some companies do limit the number of times a pack can be sold, but even then, there are usually dozens, if not hundreds, of others who buy the same content as you. Now, luckily, most people just don't use this crap. Generally, when they're buying this stuff, a lot of these are packs, bundles, things like that. Yeah, hundreds of people may have it. Dude, that's not the most relevant point, though. Do they use it? That's the most relevant point. Do they use it? And have they changed it? Maybe they changed it enough where it's not recognizable to yours. So you'll be surprised how many people will buy something, especially information products or PLR and stuff like that, and then just sit on it. Do not use it, especially when it's just not one product, but it's multiple. It's like 20 or something in a bundle. They may use one or just a portion of one and forget the others. So, quality of content. Most PLR sites that I've seen sell articles and books in packs that are purchased largely unseen in the pack. In books and packs that are purchased largely unseen. Okay. This prevents the buyer from determining the quality of the content before buying. Unfortunately, a lot of the time it turns out that the content is not of high quality and either requires a great deal of editing or has to be scrapped altogether. Yep. This can make the good deal PLR content seem to be a much worse bargain. This can make the good deal PLR content seem to be a much worse bargain. That seems. Yeah. Okay. That's not an indictment of PLR, though. It's just you got to be careful. I've been doing research. Literally, what have I said? Don't get this stuff. I've said it in multiple videos. I've said it in multiple articles. I don't know what else to say. It's not an indictment PLR. It's just, hey, be more careful. Hey, go to the PLRsite.com. Look at that list. PLR.me, Piggy Makes Bank, IDPLR.com, and Tools for Motivation. Go there. You're going to get high quality content. That's all I've got to say about that. Using PLR or private label rights. Content. If you decide to use PLR content, you need to be aware of the risks that you are taking and understand that it could feasibly come back to bite you. Yep. That being said, there are things you can do to mitigate but not eliminate the risks of using such content, including, there are ways to mitigate, correct. Do a thorough plagiarism check. Using a service like Copyscape or Plagium, check the work to see where it has been posted elsewhere and if there's a likely plagiarism. It might be difficult with PLR content, but it will also let you see just how widely it has been used already. That is actually a really good point. If you can get your hands on a preview of the content, copy and copy the text from it and then go to one of those things. Before you even buy, you can see how many times people have used it or how competitive that niche is or something like that. Good point. Actually, I never thought of using that as a tool to really get a gauge. And it also tells you how much, if it's used a lot, you might want to avoid it, or you might want to use it as a basis for stuff and rework it completely. It's like, okay, I just need to edit the ever-loving crap out of this. 2, use as a source, not as content. I have said this many times as using PLR as a basis for your content, not as your content. If you view PLR content as work, you'll have to rewrite or even just use you'll have to rewrite or even use it just as the idea of new blog posts. You might be able to get some good mileage out of it. Some purchase PLR content just to have an interesting topic or just to have interesting topic ideas, something that can work well. 3, purchase only from reputable dealers. Do your research on the company before buying. Remember, there's a lot more risk than just the cost of content. So, what have I been saying? Oh yeah, buy from reputable dealers. Again, now this is an indictment or to go against PLR content. It's the only specific types of PLR content. Again, didn't think about this. Actually, a pretty good tool. 2, yeah, I've been saying that. 3, that's what my whole site's based on. Getting people information about reputable dealers. All in all, these steps won't mitigate the risks. These steps won't mitigate the risks and drawbacks of using PLR content, but they can help reduce the risks. So it won't mitigate the risk, but it reduces the risks. Okay. In my experience, not mine, the author of this article, the people who do best with PLR content are unfortunately spammers. Okay. With scraping and other copyright infringement becoming riskier, I do like the copyright infringement language because many people, the way the rhetoric that most people use around copyright and being like stealing and all this stuff. You don't steal IP. You don't, steal what someone has copyrighted. It's copyright infringement. Become riskier. Most find it cheaper and easier to shell out a small amount of money on PLR content that they can then run through content spinners and then generate thousands of low-quality articles from the set that are at least somewhat unique to search engines. Correct? And I don't like spammers, so don't do this. People who want high-quality, unique content that they can put on their blogs or sell as an ebook probably need to either write the content themselves or at the very least hire a good ghostwriter. I don't know about need. You can write the content yourself. You can hire a ghostwriter, or you can use PLR. Edit it heavily. Make it your own, 100% make your own, or use it as a basis for your content. I don't see what's wrong with it, and this guy's just kind of jumping to conclusions here. It's like he wanted to hate on PLR, and that's the conclusion he got to. While either process will be more expensive and or more time consuming, it's the only way to ensure that you get high quality work that is free of copyright issues and other pitfalls. Okay, well, how about just rework the ever-loving crap out of it? I mean, you might still have some issues with going that route, but if you use it as a basis, you can't even say, well, copyright derivative, because then it's like, if I'm talking about ketogenic diet stuff, PLR, and I say, okay, I'm going to get this, and I'm actually going to use it as ideas, or I'm going to use it as a basis, I'm not going to use the content per se, then how can you say that can be even a copyright derivative? A problem of copyright derivatives? If that's true, then that could have been claimed if you found it. It's like, how to get started with a ketogenic diet. And then someone would be like, that's a good topic. I'll use that as a basis, but I won't use the content. Whoa, that's copyright derivative. No, it's not. There's ways, sometimes it might be copyright derivative, but not always, and it's not a copyright issue. Anyways, in short, as tempting as PLR content may be, it probably isn't the best move if you want to be safe with the content you post online. Tons of people use PLR content all the time. They've been safe. You might run a slight risk sometimes, but the problem comes only when you use something that you don't have the PLR, that you truly don't have the rights to. That's the only time it can become a legal issue, which is why I say use reputable sites. That's what my whole site is about. Anyways, somehow it's supposed to be like an indictment, casting a huge, don't use this, being like writing it PLR off completely article. And I don't think it does that. I think there are some issues, there's small issues you can kind of just ignore. There are others that doesn't do points that doesn't lead you to the conclusion that he wants you to make. So I keep seeing this pop up. I thought about tackling it. It's 9 years old. It keeps coming up in Google results. So I don't know what else to say. Then this doesn't really attack the concept of private label rights. It just says you have to be careful. Hey, and there's risks. Be careful. Get from the right sites. Edit it. Modify it. Yep. That's all it says. Just know where your content comes from. Get from reputable dealers. PLR sites. And if you're really worried about it, get it from ones that write their own stuff. Piggy Makes Bank, Tools for Motivation. PLR.me. Get it from there. And then edit it heavily if you're really, truly worried about it. There's no legal risk in that. So, anyways, that's all for this video. I'll be making other videos, not necessarily ones that's taking down articles like this, but I will be making more videos. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one.